Welcome to another episode of Positivity with Tamika. I hope that you have grabbed your tea, grabbed a drink, you settled in, you are ready to roll because today we are going to jump into another journey about faith and action and seasons of change. And this week for me, I don't know about you guys, but this week for me has been full of a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I've had the opportunity early, I talked about this in my Wednesday Wisdom, had the opportunity to go up to Durham to Duke University and watch Kara Lawson become named as the next women basketball national team basketball coach for 2028 Olympic team and 2026 World Cup. So super excited about that. That is definitely one of the highs of the week. And the Fever, they're still in the playoffs. So game time, game night versus Vegas. We'll be in the house. Game Bridge, go Fever. And at the same time, that we've gone through all of these highs, we've also unfortunately have gone through some losses. And for us in our community in the Indiana Pacers Fever community, we lost Nancy Leonard a couple days ago, and she was so instrumental. The first Fever or the first female general manager in the NBA, and her husband Bobby Slick Leonard, who passed a few years ago, they have just been instrumental in Indiana basketball, Hoosier basketball, what we've done, and then what we continue to do. So them, and then one of my good friends, Chris Bucher, man, we have gone back since I've been here in Indianapolis. He passed away the other day, and same thing, just a great person, great leader, fearless in the way that he lived and every single thing that he had done. And so on top of the losses there, we will have change. Coaches, staff have changed. We've seen a couple of my friends and people around the world that are going to be in the mix of transition through coaching, and then just everyday things that weigh heavy on our hearts. So you got the highs, you got the lows, but what we all know is that in the middle of it all, we are reminded of this truth, that our voice, and I put this in our Monday motivation, right? Our voice matters, but it's our action that create lasting change. And I go back and I think about, okay, yes, this is true. Action versus words, because how many times have we been in situations or been around people that are like, they say one thing, but they do something totally different, or they do something, and then when they talk about it, none of it matches, right? So you can talk about it, you can write it, you can tweet it, you can post it, but if your action don't line up with the word, the impact, it just doesn't matter. So I would even say this sometimes, and I know this for myself, sometimes instead of even speaking, what I would do is I would just do, because your impact and the thing that you're able to do, we don't always have to talk. We don't always have to have a conversation and sit down and put together step one, step two, step three. Sometimes for me personally, and this is maybe one of my love languages, is just do it. Yep, the Nike sign, just do it, just move forward. We don't have to talk about it all the time. We can do it. And that is what the quote for this week was all about, using our action to show change along with our voice. So we can use both, but we can also, just do. I think back to my playing days, and this is funny. I was sitting as I was kind of thinking about this. I'm like, yeah, we're sitting in the locker room, we're getting ready for practice. And sometimes, the words that you share in practice don't necessarily go onto the court. And, I think about just the success that we have been able to have in my playing days. And if, not if, the thing that we said in the locker room had to show up on the court, because if they didn't, our actions wouldn't have allowed us to win games, definitely not allowed us to win championship, back up all the things that, we said that we were going to do. If we didn't do that, then yeah, we'd be looking at a whole different Fever and a whole different team even back then. So our actions are backed up by our words. We know that. That's what people remember. That's what shows up. That's what you see. And when you look at kind of the end goal and all of that. And so, I always look at not only this in kind of the carnal, but also thinking about it through faith. And, faith right now in seasons of change because there's so much going on, we sometimes have to figure out, okay, well, we know change isn't easy. And, going back to the coaching changes or leadership changes or losing people that we love or navigating challenges, it can be heavy. But the one thing that remains true is the faith that we have and being able to use that faith to anchor us in the situations and where we are. And I pulled this, I got my journal. I pulled this from the faith in our seasons. And the Bible reminds us in James 2:17 that faith without works is dead. So that's not just about believing, but it's also about moving and living our faith through action. So when I think about the moving aspect, I go back to Pat, left foot, right foot, breathe, left foot, right foot, breathe, and being consistent every single day and making sure that we rely. There are things that I would tell you right now that I can only have faith for. And I feel like that God has promised me and that, we're walking through the steps and walking through that journey. And any minute I could be like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I don't have faith, Lord, what's going on. But even for me personally, as I'm going through this transition in my own life and figuring out my next step, I think about having faith and every single day being consistent and dedicated to my devotion, being consistent in the way that I talk, in the way that I walk, in the way that I carry myself, because I also realize that everybody in every single situation that I'm in, everybody is watching to see how you handle it. So, yeah, I mean, even through that and even through my faith, I have to remind myself to speak hope, to speak the vision, the long vision and what God has and the plans and to have that faith. But I also need to make sure that I'm acting it out. I can't sit here in this room and sit here in this office. I got to get out every single day through kindness, through service, through consistency, through courage, and make sure left foot, right foot breathe in every situation, the high and the low, to make sure that I stay forward or stay walking forward and walking and trusting His plan for my life. So faith and action in seasons of change and seasons of transition. Man, that happened, but I can move forward. Man, this is going on, but I have to move forward. And so for me, making sure that I am staying consistent in the walk and staying consistent in my focus for Him. So how do we live this out? And, great example, Kara Lawson, watching her. And I remember from our Tennessee days, like she has always spoke sports like that. ESPN was her daily vitamin is watching sport, but even for her setting goals and knowing where she wanted to be. And as life had gone on, even the opportunity to coach and every single challenge that she had faced, she has been consistent in moving forward and being successful and having prepared. That was a big thing that was talked about at the press conference, being prepared. So not only did she believe it, she lived it. Her actions every single day have paved the way for her to be named first as 3-on-3 coach, her first time, and never having coached with the USA or period. Her first time coaching with the USA 3-on-3 team, men and women. Did that for 5 years, then transitioned to the Boston Celtics, then transitioned to Duke University, and now not transitioning, just adding on another role. And she has definitely paved the way to get there. The Fever, right now, everything that they've gone through, the highs and lows, through it all, they have stayed consistent. They're grinding it out, man. Like, it's been so much fun to watch them as they show resilience. And then for you and I, we can do the same thing in our own lives, right? Every single day at work, at home, in our communities. I think about Catch the Stars and Tease Me and what we're able to do and how we get to impact. So every single day, we have a chance to not just talk about change, not just create the spaces for change, but also be the change through action. And that is what you and I can do every single day. So that's what I got for you. James 2:17, faith without works is dead. Make sure that we are using or being the change that we want to see in our world. So the challenge, we always have a challenge because it's good to have challenge, but my challenge really for you is don't just talk about change, be the change. Think about this week as we go through what's one thing that we can do to show or to show our faith, to be a part of the change. So what is one thing, and then what's one action you'll take this week? And I had an awesome opportunity to speak a couple days ago to an all-women's conference, so that was fun here in Indianapolis. But the one thing I challenged them to, more so alongside with their work and people that they work with, but I think this can apply to whether you work with somebody, whether you're friends with somebody, whether you are around somebody or you're watching somebody that is excelling. I think also being able to make sure that when we see it, we also address it, and that we help create change through our voice, but we also help create change with the ripple effects of the positivity that we pass on to others. So have a great day. Make sure this is awesome. Faith and action. Stay true. Make sure that your words match your actions, because that is super important. Don't forget to like, subscribe, pass this episode on if you like it. Write me a note too. I am all about the note, because through the highs and lows, we all will stay rooted in faith. And through our action, let's show the world that God is amazing. So have a great day. Happy episode. Positivity with Tamika. We'll see you next week.